Instagram thing? Why is all this always on the Instagram? Everybody all up in your business.
I know.
That is awful. That is so disrespectful. You know.
I totally agree.
Putting your business all out there, but you ain't got no business because everybody knows the host.
Right.
Let's get straight to the storm. Reality TV has given us messy arguments, broken friendships, and shocking betrayals, but nothing compares to the quiet sting of a mother's truth. This isn't about another screaming match on Instagram Live. This isn't about a dramatic reunion episode where castmates throw shade for the cameras. This time, the heartbreak comes from a woman who has held it all together for too long. Martell Holt, the man at the center of Love and Marriage Huntsville drama, may have thought he could survive every scandal, every rumor, and every headline. But when your own mother begins to question the future you've chosen, the ground beneath you starts to crack. Martell Holt has always been more than just Martell's mom. She was his protector, his shield against critics, the one who always said, "That's my son, and I've got his back." Through every fight with Melody, every rumor about Arionne, every messy situation that splashed across social media, Martell was the fortress that never crumbled.
And to me, it's very embarrassing,
Yeah.
But that's a light on you and her, you know what I mean? But y'all just got to do what y'all got to do. And then I look at my grandbabies, you know what I'm saying? Malia was like, how did they feel,
But now, the tone has shifted. The fortress has cracks. And for the first time, Martell is asking out loud if her son has lost his way and whether Arionne Curry, the woman tied to his most scandalous chapter, has what it takes to build a real future with him. Her words weren't shouted. They weren't posted as a dramatic rant. They were calm, heavy, and laced with disappointment, the kind of words that sting more than any insult. A mother saying, "I don't know if this is the path you should be on." That single concern has sent shockwaves across fan pages, Twitter threads, and late-night discussions. Because if the woman who knows Martell better than anyone is questioning his choices, then what does that mean for the rest of his story? Martell Holt wasn't always the man drowning in headlines and whispers. Before the reality TV cameras turned him into a household name, he was a young man from Huntsville who dreamed of more. People in the community knew him as charming, ambitious, and determined. He worked hard to create a name for himself and to build a family that looked strong from the outside. Melody Sherry, his wife at the time, became his partner not only in love but in business. Together, they presented the picture-perfect couple, polished, successful, and unstoppable. But perfection never lasts, and behind the polished family photos were cracks no one wanted to see. Martell's desire for control, his need for validation, and his weakness for temptation started unraveling everything he had built. And at the center of that unraveling was a woman named Arionne Curry. She wasn't a celebrity. She wasn't a reality TV star. She was a nurse, a woman who had her own life and dreams, until Martell pulled her into his world of chaos. For years, Martell juggled two lives: his public marriage with Melody and his private relationship with Arionne. He thought he could keep the walls strong, thought he could manage the lies, thought he could control how much the world would ever find out. But reality TV has a way of exposing the truth. And when the affair came to light, everything changed. Melody filed for divorce. Social media exploded. And Arionne's name became permanently tied to Martell's downfall. Through all of this, Martell kept her silence. She loved her son, and like many mothers, she tried to protect him from judgment. When fans criticized him, she said he was misunderstood. When people called him reckless, she defended him. But no matter how strong her words were, even she couldn't stop the truth from bleeding through. A marriage was broken. A family was torn. And Martell's choices had created wounds that no apology could fully heal. Now, years later, as the dust settles and the spotlight keeps burning, Martell has finally begun to voice what many have whispered all along: concern. Concern for her son's future. Concern about the kind of partner Arionne can truly be. And concern about what happens when the woman you chose during the storm isn't the one who can calm it. What nobody expected was the way Martell would reveal her thoughts. She didn't come forward with anger. She didn't call out Arionne by name in a bitter rant. Instead, Her words landed like a sigh, the sound of a mother who has carried too much and can no longer pretend. "I don't know if this is what I wanted for you, Martell." That one sentence spread across fan pages like fire. Screenshots appeared on Twitter. Instagram posts filled with comments. TikTok creators replayed her tone again and again, analyzing every pause and every glance in her eyes. People weren't just reacting to gossip. They were reacting to something deeper, the moment when a mother can no longer hide her disappointment. And in that moment, the conversation shifted. Because here's the twist, Marlene wasn't just questioning Martell's relationship with Arionne. She was questioning the cycle he keeps choosing. The cycle of chaos. The cycle of control. The cycle of chasing love that looks good on the surface but leaves scars underneath. Fans began asking the hard questions. Is Arionne really the woman who can help Martell grow? Or is she another chapter in a book filled with betrayal, regret, and damage? And it's not just about Martell. It's about the children who are caught in the middle. It's about the family ties that keep unraveling. It's about the fact that love can't survive when trust has been shattered so many times that even a mother's faith begins to fade. But here's where the story cuts deeper. Arionne isn't just a woman in Martell's past. She's still in his present. The whispers about their on-again, off-again relationship, the rumors about late-night visits, the complicated family connections, it all lingers like smoke after a fire. And Marlene knows that smoke doesn't disappear. It chokes, it clouds, it lingers. She's not blind to Arionne's sacrifices. The career she put aside. The independence she lost. The way she's tied her identity to a man who has never given her full commitment. Marlene sees it all. But instead of admiration, it sparks worry. Because what kind of future can you build on a foundation of lies and half-promises? Viewers can feel the weight of her concern. This isn't a mother who hates Arionne. This isn't jealousy or bitterness. This is a woman who knows her son, who knows his flaws, and who sees a relationship that looks more like quicksand than a lifeline. Every time Arionne lowers her voice to ask for Martell's approval. Every time Martell dismisses her ambition with a smirk. Every time their arguments spill online for strangers to dissect. Marlene sees the future and it doesn't look bright. And that's where the heartbreak lies. A mother doesn't stop loving her child, no matter how many mistakes he makes. But love doesn't erase disappointment. Love doesn't erase fear. Love doesn't erase the truth when it's staring you in the face. Marlene's concerns echo louder than any tabloid headline because they're rooted in something real: the pain of watching your son throw away the chance at peace for the illusion of control. Fans are already taking sides. Some believe Marlene is being too harsh, that she should stand by her son no matter what. Others say she's finally doing what she should have done years ago, drawing a line and refusing to defend choices that keep destroying the family's reputation. But no matter what side people choose, one thing is undeniable: when a mother's voice cracks with concern, it carries a power no reality TV producer can script. Because when the cameras stop rolling, and the lights dim, and the drama becomes silence, the only question that remains is the one Marlene asked with her eyes: what kind of future are you walking into, Martell? But here's the part people don't always see. Martell and Arionne's relationship isn't just about late-night calls, social media whispers, and tabloid headlines. It's about a cycle that has repeated itself so many times that even fans can predict the pattern. They fight, they break up, they post cryptic messages online, and then almost like clockwork they are seen together again. It's the classic push and pull of a toxic love story, one where passion burns bright but stability never stays. And for Martell, that chaos has become his comfort zone. It's almost as if he doesn't know how to function without it. For Arionne, the comfort has turned into a prison. She gave up so much to be with him: her independence, her career, even her dignity at times, all because she believed the man who kept telling her that she was different. That she was the one. That one day, when the timing was right, everything would fall into place. But timing has come and gone. Years have passed. The world has seen their drama unfold, and yet Martell still hasn't given her what she thought she'd get: a real commitment. Instead, she got judgment from strangers, mockery from fans, and a reputation that overshadows everything else about her. And that's the heartbreak Marlene can't ignore. Because as much as she loves her son, she knows when a story is headed toward tragedy. And right now, that's what she sees. What nobody expected was the way Martell has started to lean into the image of control. Instead of reassuring Arionne or building her up, he often belittles her ambitions. When she once mentioned wanting to return to nursing, people were shocked to hear Martell dismiss the idea, almost as if her success outside of him threatened his control inside their relationship. That moment, replayed thousands of times on TikTok and Instagram, became symbolic of everything wrong with their dynamic. A grown woman, trained, educated, and capable of working in a respected profession, asking a man for permission to use her own skills. Fans couldn't believe it. Nurses across the country spoke out online, holding stethoscopes in solidarity, saying, "This is 2025. No woman should be asking permission to work." But while social media raged, Marlene stayed quiet. And silence, especially from a mother who has always spoken up for her son, speaks louder than any rant. Her silence wasn't approval. It was exhaustion. It was the sound of a woman who has watched this story play out for too long and no longer has the strength to defend what her heart doesn't believe in. And that's when her concern began to show. In small comments, in subtle tones, in the way her eyes carried sadness when Martell's name and Arionne's were mentioned together. She wasn't just worried about the relationship. She was worried about the future her son was building, a future where chaos, mistrust, and disrespect became the foundation of his legacy. The drama only deepened when fans noticed how Arionne seemed stuck in Martell's shadow. Whenever she tried to step forward, he pulled her back. Whenever she hinted at independence, he reminded her of the control he still held. It was a cycle of power and submission that made people uncomfortable to watch. Even the cast of Love and Marriage Huntsville, people who thrive in drama, began to show concern. Kimmy Scott, known for her calm voice of reason, once pointed out how Martell avoids accountability, always finding a way to shift blame instead of facing the truth. Maurice and Marceau Scott had warned him years ago that his choices would catch up with him, but Martell laughed them off back then. Now, their warnings look prophetic. Even Miss Wanda, the outspoken firestarter of the group, has thrown in her thoughts, often reminding Martell that playing with people's lives has consequences. At the time, fans laughed. But now, when you watch those clips again, every word feels heavy. Every warning sounds like an echo of Marlene's voice, a mother trying to tell her son that the road he's on is leading to disaster. But here's the real heartbreak: Martell's children are watching all of this unfold. They're old enough now to see who brings peace and who brings chaos. They can tell when someone is trying to protect them versus when someone is using them as props for social media. And as much as Martell wants to present himself as a devoted father online, the kids see more than the internet ever will. They see the arguments. They feel the tension. They live with the inconsistency. Marlene knows this. She knows the weight of growing up in a fractured family. She knows the wounds it leaves behind. And that's why her concern is heavier than any fan's opinion, because she's thinking not just about Martell's present but about his children's future. When she says she's worried, she's not only speaking as a mother. She's speaking as a grandmother who sees the generational impact of his choices. But here's the twist nobody can ignore: Martell doesn't seem ready to change. He skips court-ordered counseling. He ignores therapy. He continues fighting battles with Melody in court, dragging her back into a past she's desperately trying to move beyond. And instead of focusing on growth, he clings to control. Control over Arionne. Control over his image. Control over a narrative that the world no longer believes. And that's where Marlene's voice becomes the loudest. Not in volume, but in weight. Because if your own mother is saying, "I don't know if this is the right path," then maybe the truth is finally catching up. The emotional impact of this isn't just on Martell. It's on the entire family. Melody, who has been trying to move on with grace, is forced to relive the pain every time Martell drags her name back into the spotlight. Arionne, who thought she found love, is stuck in a cycle of humiliation. The children, who deserve peace, are surrounded by chaos. And Marlene, who has carried the burden of protecting her son for years, is finally breaking under the weight of it all. For fans, it's heartbreaking to watch. Because beneath the headlines and the social media posts are real people with real wounds. And the deeper the story goes, the clearer it becomes that this isn't just reality TV drama. This is a family unraveling in real time. And that brings us to the ending, the part where silence speaks louder than words. Marlene's voice of concern has shifted the entire narrative. She's no longer defending her son blindly. She's no longer pretending that everything is fine. Instead, she's holding up a mirror, forcing Martell to face what he's become. And in doing so, she's given fans something raw, something real, something unscripted. Because at the end of the day, the cameras will turn off. The social media posts will fade. The gossip will move on to someone else. But the scars of these choices will remain. For Martell. For Arionne. For Melody. For the children. And for Marlene, who can only watch and hope that her son will finally realize that control is not love, chaos is not strength, and silence is not peace. Her words hang in the air like a warning. I don't know if this is the path you should be on. And maybe, just maybe, that's the one sentence that could change everything. Or the one sentence that will echo forever if nothing changes at all. At the end of it all, this story isn't just about Martell and Arionne. It's about the cost of choices, the weight of pride, and the silent pain of a family unraveling. Marlene has carried her son for years, defending him when the world called him out, but now even she can't hide her worry. Her words, simple but heavy, cut deeper than any headline. I don't know if this is the path you should be on. That's not a gossip line. That's a mother's heartbreaking. Because she sees what Martell refuses to see: a man losing control, a woman trapped in a cycle of promises, and children growing up in the middle of it all. And maybe that's why her silence hurts more than her words. Because when your own mother stops defending you, the world no longer needs to. So the question remains, will Martell finally change before it's too late? Or will Marlene's warning become the prophecy that defines his legacy? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: love built on control will never last, and silence will always speak louder than words.